Zillow slams the brakes on home buying as it struggles to manage its backlog of inventory. This is interesting. So what happens is from where? CNN. Oh boy, CNN. I got this on my Apple feed because Apple is aligned with the left-wing media, as is YouTube, by the way. But what does this mean for housing prices? Remember, what causes price increases? Well, if you take your typical supply and demand curve, if supply goes up, prices go down. When demand goes up, prices go up. When demand is stable and supply goes down, what happens? Prices go up. So Zillow has too much supply and they're decreasing their demand. What is that going to do to prices? Well, probably drop, I would think. Let's take a look. Let's see, read on. Because they're not buying anymore. So they're inherently reducing the demand because they have too much supply. I don't know what that means, but that would be economics to say prices would be dropping. All right, Zillow will stop buying homes through Zillow offers for the rest of the year as the company's program tries to go from full speed to full stop. The company announced on Monday it would not contract to buy any more homes in order to work through the backlog of inventory it already has. So now again, work through the backlog of inventory. They have a big supply. But they're one of the biggest, if they're part of the demand, so you got this huge supply. And their demand inherently is going to drop because they're not buying anything anymore. But they're still going to flood the market with supply. I don't know how much Zillow buys. I don't know. In terms of, are they a big proportion of the demand? Well, if they are, and their demand is gone now for the rest of the year, you should see a decline in house prices, I would think. Let's keep looking here. This is interesting. The iBuyer model used by Zillow and other real estate companies entails purchasing homes directly from sellers and relisting the properties after doing minor work. But thanks to the current shortage in labor, Zillow can't close, renovate, or resell the homes fast enough. We're operating within a labor and supply constrained economy inside a competitive real estate market. Pausing new contracts will enable us to focus on sellers already under contract with us in our current home inventory. Zillow will still market and sell the homes as acquired, which has been on a purchasing tear this year. It bought 3,805 homes in the second quarter, a record high for the company, and more than double the number of homes bought in the first quarter. Again, that's increasing the demand. Supply in this case was flat, but the demand was going through the roof, increasing prices. Let's see. It operates in 25 cities. Other buyers, such as Open Door, Redfin Now, and OfferPad, Zillow uses data and algorithms about the property and the market to make a cash offer on an off-market home and buys directly from the homeowner. It appeals to home sellers because closing can take anywhere from 7 to 90 days after the contract is signed and can provide some certainty and control of the sale of the home. All right. Zillow, according to the feed to the seller, Zillow averages 5%, but can be very based on the market. Home purchases, by iBuyers, it's still 1% of the market. The share is still a tiny part of the whole market, but shows a tremendous growth in the past few years. As the iBuyer shares in some cities like Phoenix, Atlanta, and Charlotte now tops 5%. So it's only 1% of the total market, but big in the booming South and the Southwest as well. Zillow wasn't alone among iBuyers in buying a lot of homes this year. iBuyers bought more houses at higher prices in the second quarter of the year than in the other quarter. That surprised some skeptics who did not think the iBuyer model would be appealing to home sellers in a hot market. But research says that sellers are drawn to the certainty, 100%. Zillow's moves to halt purchases is surprising, said this guy, because it's so surprising because it's so sudden. iBuyers have access to a tremendous amount of data. They can see months into the future and plan their inventory. So the fact that Zillow didn't see this coming and wasn't able to make adjustments before it had to resort to a lockdown is pretty surprising. All right, there's only so much technology can do, says some guy. At the end of the day, you need people to process a lot of transactions. However, the halt appears to be a Zillow-specific problem, not an industry problem. We'll see. Zillow just kept barreling down, and now they're hit the wall. This is not the situation a growth-focused company wants to be in. All right, so I seen something else there. All this, investors are buying huge percentages of existing homes. As of June, 24% of home purchases were going to investors. Large investors, those who retain 100 or more properties, are largely responsible for the rise. Of all investor purchases, 20% were made by large investors. This is much higher than 11% in 2020 or 14% in 2014. Small investors have declined slightly and now account for less than half of investor purchases. Yeah, so that's interesting. Investors are, 1 in 4 purchased by investors. The pandemic seemed to drive away large investors, but they're now making the greatest share of investor purchases. Hold on a second. If you have been outbid by a home, there's nearly a 1 in 4 chance it was by investor group or a group investor or a group of investors. Now that is interesting. So of purchase homes, that's investor purchase homes, but of total house buys, 25%. I don't know what to make of that. That's a huge demand on the price with a limited supply. Increasing demand, limited supply, prices go up. Zillow's getting out of it for a little bit. We'll see how long. You think other investor programs aren't going to do the same? Interesting. Well, let me know what you think. We'll see ya.